Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how I put together this little bag for the side of the wheelchair. I created one a couple of weeks ago for the back and I really wanted to make one for the side. It was actually really easy to make. It just takes a little time and some thought. So let's get to sewing. Alright, I'm going to start off by measuring where I want to place my bag before I go on to showing the materials, the fabric that I'm going to use and so forth. So this is the armrest that I want the bag to hang from. So I'm going to want some little handles to wrap around here. So I need to see how wide this is because I don't really want the bag to be any wider than that. So we're going to measure that. And here we have 14 inches. Now I don't necessarily want it to go 14 inches because it does curve down a little bit here. So without the curve, that's 13 inches. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut my fabric 14 inches in length. That'll be the cut that will include the side seams, which are 1/4 inch each, which that takes up 1/2 inch. So then I'll have 13 inches of a bag hanging down, which will be nice. Now let's see how far down we can hang it. And I think we're going to start off here at the bottom of this. The most is 8 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. So I can take 1/4 off the seams at the top and the bottom. That's 1/2 inch. So 7.5 inches will be the overall. So we're going to cut 14 by 8 and the overall will be about a 13.5 by a 7.5. Now let's choose our fabrics. Alright, so here I have some fabrics. Now last week I made the bag that went on the back of the wheelchair and I used these fabrics and I really like them, and after thinking about it, I really want to coordinate the bag that goes on the side with the one on the back. I had these other fabrics and I thought I'd use them, use something different, just for the sake of, the video, a different fabric. But really I want it all to match. So I'm going to go ahead and use these fabrics. I'm going to use this for the back, the overall background of the bag, or I guess it would be the backbone or the platform of the whole bag. I have this little strap of, or not strap, but a leftover piece of fabric. I'm going to go ahead and measure that. If it's 8 inches, oh, it's more than 8 inches. It's 9 3/4, and there's more than 14 inches going across here. So I can go ahead and use this fabric for the body. Okay, the body of my little bag. Okay, and then I want to do the pockets in the front with this fabric, and I know that I have enough of that. I think that'll be really cute, the pockets, because this is what I used for the other bag. Now in the other bag had a lining, so for the inside of the pocket, which is the only part that's going to have a lining, I'm going to go ahead and use this little polka dotted one just so that it coordinates. And then I'm going to use this felt fabric. That's my little puppy. I'm going to show you her in just a moment. This is going to be the fabric that I'm going to use inside to give the whole bag some body so that it doesn't just droop. The lightweight fabric, it's just a cotton fabric and it could just droop. I want it to have some body to it so it stays in shape, and that's what I'm going to use. And then of course I'll do straps, so I'll probably use the same fabric for the straps. Alright everyone, this is Fergie. She's the newest member of our family. Our son brought her over to us. She's super cute. She's a shepherd mix with a blue heeler, Australian shepherd mix, I believe is what they said. And she's a couple of months old. She's going to be going next week to get spayed. Little does she know. She's a good little girl. She was crying a lot when we first got her the first night, kind of sleepless night the next night, of course, because we have her in a crate at night, so she gets used to that. But she's been a really good girl, going on her little puppy pads. And, well, anyway, she's been very playful. Look at that. She just wants to chew on something. And, of course, I got her a little toy, but I've got a little order of some stuff from Amazon coming Thursday for her. And, hopefully she'll enjoy that. And maybe I'll make a little video of just her unboxing her little toys. Again, this is Fergie. I think I said Fergie, whatever. Oh, because on her paperwork, when she was getting adopted, the name on her paper that was on her crate there at the humane air, the animal shelter where my son went, it said Fergana, which means like what is the word? Generous, and some other words like that. Anyway, I can't think right now. I will explain all that in another video. But yeah, this is Fergie, 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 Fergie. I keep saying Fergie, but it's Fergie. All right, I'm sorry. I realized at the beginning of my video I didn't have my other light on, so I've gone ahead and I've turned it on. Okay, so I've got my fabric here, and I need to cut 2 pieces for the body of the bag. So I'm going to measure 14 inches, because remember I said I was going to cut this at 14 inches overall length. Let's measure here, or mark the 14 inches. And I'm going to go a little bit higher again. This is on a fold. I'm going to cut that fold to make 2 pieces. I don't have to. I could just leave it, but I'm going to be sewing that. So, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there's 14 inches. Let me make this a little bit straighter. Okay, and then we're going to do 8 inches. Let's measure from down here up like that. And of course I'll be measuring the middle and the end over here, marking that out with pens. You could use a chalk, you could use a straight edge, whatever you want to, however is easier for you. Alright, so I've cut a nice piece of fabric of the striped one to create the pocket, and I'm going to cut it the same length as the body is. And I'm going to go ahead, since I have little stripes here, I'm going to use the stripes on the fabric to help me try and cut it as straight as I can. So I'm just using this little line right here. Okay, and let's see what else I need to do. I could actually just lay it on top here like that with a back sides like that, and align it on the bottom. And here I know where to cut it. And just cut this little corner straight because it was a little crooked there. All right, and we don't need this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the same height for now, or yeah, it's the height, because this is what's going up and down. All right, so this is my pocket, and this is going to get sewn here at the bottom, and I want it to be, I don't want it to be too small, because if I put a water bottle in there, I don't want the pocket way down here, and this is going to flop open. So it needs to be deep enough, and consider that there's going to be a 1/4 inch seam down here. And this won't go all the way in, it'll go somewhere like that. So it'll stick out that much, and I think that's fine. There'll be a 1/4 inch seam up here as well. So that's good. Okay, I'm going to use this measurement, so I'm going to put a little pin here, right where the fold that I made, right there. Okay, now I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch taller than that. So let's measure that first. Okay, let's go ahead and go at 7, and then go a 1/4 inch more, so right here. Okay, just trying to make it even for myself. And the reason that I'm doing that is because at the bottom, I've noticed that it's not really straight cut. It kind of goes in the center. So I'm just going to make sure that it's all straight. So I have folded it. And you might want to use a rotary cutter in your grid. If you have a grid board, that's a good way to make sure that everything, this is as straight as it's going to get. It's not going to get any straighter. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so there's my pin telling me where. Little puppy. Okay, now here's my body, my two sides to my body, my, you know, the back, so I have a nice finished back, and I have a nice finished front. And then this is my pocket. Now I want to use that other fabric that has a little polka dots, or whatever fabric you want to use. You can use the same exact fabric for everything. I'm going to cut a piece out of this, the same size as my pocket piece, so that this will be lining the inside of my pocket. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cut those, and then I'm going to do some cutting of the felt fabric as well. I'm going to need one to go between these two fabrics, and then I'm going to need another piece to go between these two fabrics. So I'm just going to use this to cut the first piece, and then this size to cut the second piece of my felt. Alright, so I've cut my pocket pieces, and I've got my felt here that I've cut for that, and of course the body, and I've cut the felt piece to match that. So let's go ahead and start sewing our pocket piece. So this is on top of this white felt piece. That's fine, I'll go ahead and leave it there. It doesn't matter which side is on there, but I want to make sure that I turn the other fabric facing the front of, you know, so the two right sides are facing each other. Okay, and all I'm going to do is sew a 1/4 inch across the top here. Let me go ahead and align this correctly, and I'll pin it just to make sure it doesn't move around on me. So 1/4 inch across the top, and then we can flip this fabric over and continue. Alright, move this over. Now we can take our iron and iron this down nicely, and then fold it over like so. Nice, just like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down for now, but I do intend on ironing it. I'll pin it down, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of randomly sew little squiggly lines like that, just to get these two fabrics to grab onto each other. And not only that, but it'll give it like a quilted look. Okay, so before I get started on this one, I've gone ahead and I've ironed the back, the body pieces of my bag, and then I've taken just one of them and my felt, and I'm going to do the same squiggly lines. I'm not doing the where I sew them together, turning them over yet, because I am going to be putting some straps in here, and they'll have to be placed in here before I can go ahead and close that. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and do little squiggly lines on it. Now I did do this, what I said, I was going to iron it and then fold it over. It's very nicely done now. Okay, so that's sewn across, and I've made a nice top stitch right there. It looks really good. I mean, I don't even have to do the little quilting, but I'm going to go ahead and do that just to make sure my fabric doesn't move around so much. And I'm not going to do too much of it, okay? But let's just get started so you can see what I'm talking about. Make sure your two fabrics are held together. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pin some areas here to make sure, because all that moving around will cause the fabrics to move. So just squiggle around. And come back up. Okay, so you get the idea of what I'm doing in order to create squiggly lines. And let me go ahead and pull this out, because I believe you'll be able to see it on the other side. See that? It's not a specific pattern. I just went up and down. And so the other side of it is the front here, but you can see it up close, but of course you probably can't see it in the camera here. But that's what I want to do. So now I'm going to go ahead and do that to this fabric, and that is it. Okay, so I've done that to both of my pieces here. Done the little squiggly lines. These are a little bit bigger because, you know, a lot of it's going to get hidden away with this pocket here. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick little stitch around to get this piece in place. And I'm going to sew all along the edge here and the bottom, and then up the side over here. And I believe I said I was going to go halfway, and so in the middle, make 2 pockets the same size, and this is 14 inches, so at 7, I'm going to mark it. Is that 7? I think I marked it a little bit off. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't have to be exact, but you know, what the heck, right? And let's do over here. It's coming right along here, so that's where I'm going to mark it again, so that I can go ahead and sew straight down. Do a back stitch right here. Make sure you back stitch it so that this doesn't come, unsewn when you're pulling on this to stick something in there. So I'm gonna do that first, and then I'll sew along the bottom and the side edges. All right, so now I want to measure the lengths of the straps. I want the bag to be right here. So I'm going to measure the straps to go around all the way, come back around this way, and then kind of go down a little bit to meet up with the back of the bag so that it can Velcro on. All right? So then I will add the seam allowances right after I've measured that. So I wanted the bag to be about right here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a drop here. I want it to come, and I want it to meet up with that right there, and then have a drop, like I said. So meet up right here, and then a bit of a drop, and that's 9 inches. So 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch on both ends is 9.5 inches. So now I know how long to make my straps, and they're going to be about 1.5 inches wide, because I want them to grab on nicely. I don't want some real thin ones that'll roll up on me. I don't need them to be too wide. So I think 1.5 inches is good, or about that size. So I'm going to go 2 inches. Also, I need to decide how far apart I want them. And remember, the bag is pretty much the length of this, of course, with the seam allowances. It's the length of this upper part here before it curves down. And that was, I believe, 13 inches. Yep, right here. You see that? Okay, 13 inches. So I want my straps to be at the 3. So the 11 over here. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, the 10. So the inside edge, let's see, my strap would be right there, right there. Is that going to be good enough for me? I think I'm going to go further in. So I'm going to put the 3. The outer edge of the strap will be at the 3, and it'll go at the 4.5. So over here on this side, the outer edge of the strap will be at the 10. So the inside will be 9.5. So between 4.5 and 8.5, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. So my straps will be 4 inches apart. And then whatever they end up being after that, doesn't matter. As long as there's a 4-inch space between them, they'll rest wherever, and then that's it. So I'm going to do 9.5 inches in length, 2 inches in wide, the fabrics that I cut out. Okay, so here I have my piece of fabric. It's actually folded in half. So I folded it in half, but I've actually measured the length at 9.5 because I said I wanted a 9-inch strap. So 1/2 inch for 1/4 seam allowance on one end and the other end as well. Now I've gone ahead and I've done it on a fold here, and I went ahead and I cut 4 inches, a little bit more maybe. So once I folded it, it's about here. It's about 2 1/4 inch. So that's actually 4.5 inches that I ended up cutting that. But like I said, the width of is really, it's important, but it's not that important. So whatever I decided, oh, it's only going to be 1.5 inches. At the end of the day, it might be a little bit more. Okay, what I really want to be correct is the length. Now I don't want it to be too skinny, of course. I don't want a skinny strap. I could just use a ribbon for that, or even a piece of elastic. But I wanted to make a nice cute little strap. So this is what I've cut. I've cut 9.5 but what it's actually 4.5 here, okay? So then what I'm going to do is open it up and fold a 1/4 inch down like that, iron that down, and then a 1/4 inch on this side on the long end, and a 1/4 inch on this other long end, and iron it down. I don't need to do it on the opposite side, just on one side where I folded a 1/4 inch. Now, I've already done that to this piece here. As you can see, this has been ironed down, and then this part here has been ironed down. This is going to be the end. This part here that's all folded in is going to be the end that's going to go around the bag and then Velcro onto it, so it's got a finished edge. This end here is going to get sandwiched in between the body of the bag, so I don't need it to have a finished edge. This is going to end up being inside with the seam of the bag, so that's why I'm not doing one end. I'm just doing, you know, I'm only doing one end, not two ends. Okay, so I still need to do that, you know, the ironing on this one. And of course, after I've ironed those, I folded it in half and then iron that little center, and that's very important because now I'm going to take my piece of felt, and I've gone ahead and I've cut the piece of felt pretty much the same size as my fabric, you know, when I did that, but I'm going to end up cutting it smaller, and I'm actually going to cut 2 pieces, one for each strap. This is going to go sandwiched in here so that I'll have a nice thick fabric. Now, I don't want it to go all the way up into here. I want it to be sandwiched inside of there and fit under here, under that little bit here. So I'm actually going to measure from there to there, and I'm going to trim. I'm going to make a little marking where I'm going to trim it, and then I'm going to fold it where I want it to be inside of this little fold. And I always want to cut just a tiny little bit less. Okay, so now that I've marked it, I'm going to bring it down and then just cut as straight as I can. Sometimes it doesn't come out too straight, but you know, just something to put in there. Okay, and then I'm going to trim off the little end that I didn't need, and then I'm going to use that piece to cut another one out of the same felt, and just trim it. And I can tell they're not very straight, kind of crooked, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the one where I've already ironed everything, and I'll iron this one in a minute, and whatever I do to this one, I'll do to the strap. Okay, let's put it in there. Align it with the fold that's in here. Align it with this fold right here. So you're going to bring that down, bring it over. Let's pinch, or not pinch, but let's pin that little corner there so it doesn't move on us. Make sure it's over here, right on the edge, as close as we can get it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but get it in there so it doesn't stick out of the fabric. And then we're going to fold in one of the edges so it is covering the edge of the felt, and then the other one we'll put it over like that. Fold it in, of course. Pin that. And we want to do the same thing over here on the top on this other corner. Make sure these are bent or folded in. Fold in your little corner. Fold in your little corner. Now sometimes you get this little bit of a raw edge right here. You could do an extra little fold there if you wanted, a little kind of a little corner folding if you want, just, but you know, it's a lot of work. But if you do that, make sure you pin it really well so it doesn't move on you, and make sure everything else is also folding in. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit smaller in width of the space in there, because you don't want it to be bigger, because then it doesn't fold over nicely. You know, it's just not going to do that. So make sure that, you know, your little felt is a little narrower than the space that you folded this little top fabric, if you understand that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and top stitch to close this edges, and then down all the way down. We don't have to worry about this other end. We don't have to close that up. It's fine, leave it like that. So just sew along like that. You can do a 1/4 inch seam if you want, or do it small, a little bit less. I'm going to go a little bit less. And then after I do this top edge, And this side edge, I'm going to go ahead and do this other side as well. And like I said, I'm going to repeat it with the other piece of strap. So this is what I have here. Look, see that? The little corners there. And there's, you can see how up close, how I have pinned it. Okay, so just to give my strap a really nice finish, and I've done that little top stitching around, all the way around the edge and the little top. I actually want to cross the bottom here just so that I could just go ahead and just continue all the way around. So that's okay. You do that, but you don't have to fold that in. So just to give it all a nice little finish, I'm going to start at the bottom here. And I'm going to go in about 1/4 inch from that other where I sewed it before. Go up. And you can do it however many of these little stitchings you want to do. I'm just going to go across it right on top of that existing stitch that was there before. A little bit more. And I position it where it's again 1/4 inch from there, or 1/2 inch, whatever, you know, distance you want to measure it at. Okay, that's it. I don't have to do any more. And I just gave it all a nice little finished, you know, feel to the strap here, because it's got little stitches here in the middle as well. It's not a, you know, a loosey-goosey fabric. It actually looks like a little strap. All right, everyone, I have folded the front panel of my bag, and I've just made like a little cut here, just to tell me where the center is. And I want to do 4 inches, so 1/2 of 4 inches is 2 inches. I'll mark there, and the other 2 inches over here. Okay, so now I've got my straps, and I want my straps, I want the, I'm looking at both sides to see which one looks nicer. This is the folded edge that I sewed here, and that's going in a little bit shorter than this rounded part. So I want this to be the front of my strap, you know, the part that goes around. So that's going to be like that. So I need to sandwich it in there, so I need to go like this, turn it over. So basically what you would be like the not pretty side upward, and this is that little raw edge where I didn't fold in anything. That's going to go right there. Now before I sew it, I'm going to go ahead and test it on the arm. This one I have to turn it over this way because this is the raw edge, and this is my not so pretty side. This is what I think is my prettier side, so I'm going to put my prettier side facing, you know, that way. The right side's facing right side. Okay, I can get the same pin that I have here. Okay, I want to put the pin way down here, actually. Not so close up to the top. Okay. So then this is going to get sewn pretty side facing the pretty side of the bag, and not the strap, of course, but that side there. We're going to put it along here. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew across the top 1/4 inch seam just to capture those straps in there. And then I'm going to go and compare it to the chair and make sure that the straps are where I want them, because that'll be easier if I have to move them around, to just kind of rip up the seam and then move the straps wherever I may need to move them to. And of course I put those pins way down here so they don't get caught when I'm sewing, but I do need to pin this top part here just to make sure things don't move on me while I sew. Again, 1/4 inch seam just across the very top. Okay, so now that I've got this on there, I'm going to just fold it over to the back, take these pins off because I don't need to mark that, and then I can pull on this. Make sure this fabric gets pulled down all the way. Okay, so let's go test these straps out on the arms of the chair. So we want this to go around it like that. Yep. And have enough fabric to Velcro to the back. I have the 2 inches that I wanted. That hangs really nicely right there. So I'm really happy with the distance. of the straps and where they're placed. So I'm going to go ahead and continue now. All right, everyone. So this is what I had, putting it on the handle of the chair there. So now I want to go ahead and sew this all the way around so that I can then turn it over, and then all these seams will be on the inside of my little bag. So I'm going to go ahead first, put these little straps in here. Let's just put them in there, tuck them in so that they don't get caught up in the bottom when I'm sewing it. The best way to do it is to actually pin them down. So I'm just going to put a pin there to hold it down. Another pin to hold that one down. Okay, so now I'll bring the fabric back around this way. Remember, I sewed up here. So now I want to sew the sides, on the sides here, and this bottom end over here as well. I'm going to leave an opening down here where I can turn it all over. So let's make sure everything, because of the little straps, the way that I folded them in, it's getting really bulky in there. So I want to make sure my fabric does reach where it's supposed to reach. So I'm pinning it down so it doesn't move on me. I'll even put a pin right here in the middle. Grab as much as, oops, it's not grabbing. There we go. And this corner over here as well. Okay, so I want to leave about 4 inches here. So just mark more or less where that would be. An opening, okay? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start way up on the top here, go down, come across to this pin here where I'm marking the opening, double stitch it really well here, jump my foot, my sewing foot all the way over here, double stitch it again, sew, and then back up again, 1/4 inch seam all the way around. So now I'm okay. Before I turn it over, I'm going to go and I'm going to trim the little corners here, this, just to make sure that I get rid of a lot of this bulk of fabric. Okay, now I can go ahead and turn it over, and this is going to take me a little bit of struggling maybe because it's really thick, and of course the opening's not that big, but it's actually doing pretty good. And remember, there's some pins holding those straps down, so don't be reaching in there because you might poke yourself. So now I'm going to want to poke out the corners as nicely as I can. I do have some little tools that I bought to do that specifically, so I think I'll grab those. I'll show you in a minute. And let me go ahead and take these pins off that are holding down the straps that I tucked into the pockets. Oh, you know what, guys? This one got caught in there just a tiny little bit. This one didn't. See, this is what I mean. You want to make sure that you don't push them too far in, because look, this one got caught. So I'm going to turn this around in just that little corner and unstitch that. And I can see now where it got caught. It got caught when I did the little backing. So I'm going to unstitch that, pull this out of the way, and then stitch it back. That's all I'm going to do, and I'll be back and I'll show you the little tools that I got. All right, you guys, so I bought myself this package. This is a, here it's called right there. Let's see right there. You can see that right there, the name. Get the reflection off of there. So you can see that. It is a threader and turner multi-tool set. And it says it came with a little bundle ring, bonus bundle ring, which is in there. I've already used one of the tools in here. Use this one right here, but I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit wider one. See how it's got these little pointy ends? Okay, by the way, I unstitched it, and then I just pulled out the strap, and I didn't stitch it back up because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to fold this in and stitch it closed anyway. So I'm going to just reach in there with this little bit and push out any corners. You could also use the flat side to help you push like the sides of the bag. So this is nice. This is the first time that I actually do it on something this thick. I already used it on something thinner and smaller. It's something that I was fixing. Okay, so now that I've got it all like this, before I do my little top stitching on here, actually I don't even think I'm going to do a top stitching. I thought about it, like, because there's just so much bulk right here. I don't want to have to sew through there again. I'm just going to iron it really well, and then I'm going to iron these little ends in on the bottom, this little opening, and stitch that, and I think I'm just going to do that by hand. And then I'm going to take some Velcro. I have some Velcro right here near me. I'll take some Velcro and the less than 2 inches back here. I'm going to put some Velcro, put it on here as well, so then I can just Velcro it like that. All right, everyone, I've sewn the bottom, and I did go ahead and just use a sewing needle, a hand sewing needle, and just stitched it nice and tightly across. And I'm happy with that. Look at that. Nice and tight. You can't really see it. I did even consider, again, doing a top stitch around it, but it's so thick, and it looks really cute the way it is, so I'm going to leave it. I could do one on the top, but I'm going to leave it as is. I think it looks really nice. All right, let me just cut off some little threads, little rogue threads that I see here and there. Okay, so now I want to turn this around, and this is where my straps are going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark, fold it like that, mark right there. Okay. Yep, right there. Got some Velcro here. And I'll take this, pop it open. This is, I'm going to mark where I want it. Right there, closer to the bottom. Just pin it. Oh, I don't know why I moved that. Okay, it's too late. I already did. Okay. And then, yeah, and then the other one will go right there. But I like to sew these on first, and then once they're sewn on, and then I can place these where, you know, they match up like that, and then put these on there, and then go ahead and sew them. And yeah, it'll get sewn. I'll probably make sure that I get this out of the way before, you know, when I'm sewing it, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let me go ahead and cut the other piece the same length for the other side. Save any pieces of Velcro. Okay, this is the bottom part. The 2 pieces that match over to the side. Let's get this more or less the same. There we go, right there. Pin that, and then I'll just sew it with my sewing machine. Sometimes it's a little tricky sewing on Velcro. It kind of tends to move around on you a lot. If you can handle it, awesome. But if you want to do it, sew it by hand, and you want to take a little time and relax, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and do it with the sewing machine, as much as it pains me to do it. And then I'll do the other piece that goes on this other part here. Yeah, okay. Let's get to it. Okay. Okay. That's that. Let's see. That's how we want to do. I'll do the same thing to the other side, and then we'll be back so that I can sew the other matching, or the other, you know, Velcro bits to the back of the bag. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I put the other little Velcro on the back of the bag, and this works just fine. Yep, okay. And I actually just sewed the top and the bottom. I didn't do the sides here, and I'll show you why. I can go in there with some fabric glue, which is what I'm going to do, just on these little insides here, just to make sure it glues down really well. And I'll show you in a minute why I could do this. I mean, I guess I could, but it would take me a lot of trouble, or it would be a lot of trouble to do so. Okay, let's go ahead and close this so I can measure more or less. So then this is about so much, and I'm putting this one right here. I'm going to lift it up right here so that I can see where this is going to go. Right there. I want to pin it. Let's turn this around this way. Right there. I'm going to lift it, but I want to make sure that the pocket is not being grabbed when I pin it. Okay, so now on my sewing machine, I have removed the arm that goes here normally. Sometimes it's just a small one, but you got to remove that. And in order to be able to do that so that I can slide this part into here so that I can make sure that this doesn't get caught on here when I'm sewing. So this is gonna go under here. Slide your little pocket, or whatever you want to call this, a little side pocket. Okay, and then we're just going to go straight, sew straight up along the top edge. And it was going to be a little difficult for me to like pull it out and then turn it around. I couldn't do that because, you know, this is wrapping around here. So that's why I chose to, okay, we're not going to sew down on the sides. We're just going to sew the top and the bottom. And that's how that came about. And I'm going to go back on it because I didn't double stitch it when I started here. Okay. And that's that. Okay. So here we are. We're going to take it over to our wheelchair, put it on the side there of the wheelchair, and see how it looks all finished and done. All right, everyone, so there's the bag on the side of the wheelchair, all nice and finished. One thing you could do, if you don't feel confident enough with the Velcro, I mean, put it on there, or you could use some buttons or some snaps. But anyway, I think this is going to be okay. Some snaps might be a little bit better than some Velcro, if you feel better doing that. Okay, so anyway, this is going to be for maybe putting a water bottle in there, like that. And she can put her glasses, her phone. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. And leave a kind comment down below and let me know what you think of my creation this week. Do you like it? Have you ever done anything like it? Have you seen anyone do something similar? But let me know what you think of the fabric choices also. I think it's really cute. And if you're liking the content and you haven't subscribed, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. And then you can choose to get notified for all the videos so that you'll know as soon as I upload them. Thank you all very much for watching my video and for supporting my channel. So as always, enjoy.